everyone. Welcome to ANOKHI Uncensored, our weekly show about breaking down barriers and building up communities that are inclusive, representative, and collaborative. I'm your host, Raj Girn, the founder of the umbrella brand, ANOKHI Life, and I'm super excited to bring you a very special edition of the show today, where the focus is on celebrating truly how far we've come here in North America in terms of EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion, albeit we all know that we've got a real long way to go. But one of the companies out there that are really, truly, putting this as the forefront of what they believe in is a company called Reitmans. They have a campaign called Diversity is the Fabric of Canada, which is a campaign that came across my desk recently, as I mentioned, created by Reitmans, a woman's clothing brand here in Canada, which has collaborated with the marketing agency Cosset to showcase diversity and inclusion amongst women in Canada. This got my interest because their mandate with this campaign is to showcase and celebrate EDI through BIPOC representation. So you know that I was going to be all up in that, right? The campaign features 7 great diverse women, one of which is well-known stylist and influencer, the Sandy Lion, aka Sandy Kaur Gill, who is also a grade school teacher, and she's my guest today. Sandy, welcome to the show, sweetheart.
Thank you so much for having me. You forgot to say that I'm also your friend.
Oh my gosh, of course. And I was going to get to that. I was going to tell people the little story about how I've, so many times bumped into you at various events over the years and always been so, encapsulated by the clothes that you've worn, your style, the various different colored hair that you would have. And so many times I used to notice you and comment on that. And the fact that you had guts to do that and still be so, a part of the South Asian culture. And it was something that I found to be really fascinating because me being Gen X, we were brought up to either be in one culture or the other. And the interesting thing that I found with people like yourself and your entire generation is that you guys just kind of figured out how to be South Asian, but to also kind of showcase your individuality. So, that's my little story about, how fascinated and intrigued I've been with who you are as a style influencer and in my world, a style icon, because you've done a lot of really wonderful things out there. And I kind of want to get into that, Sandy, if you don't mind, to kind of give people context around your story so they can understand truly how incredible it is. Give our audience a bit of background about, who are you? Like, where did you come from?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction. So I am a Punjabi Canadian, first generation Canadian. My parents immigrated from Punjab in the 70s, and I'm the youngest of 4 girls. And I'm by schooling, I'm an elementary school teacher. I teach grade 2 and 3 right now. And on top of that, I own my own fashion business through which I style people, I dress different people. I also provide different fashion tips and start trends, whatever that means, or however I do that, I don't know, but I guess that's what I do. And I also have my own clothing line.
So for as long as I've known you, Sandy, you've had 3 careers. You're a grade school teacher. We just finished talking about that. You're a fashion stylist, which we need to talk about a little bit more, but you're also an activist in all the right ways of what that word actually means. And I want to get there in a moment, but let's first talk about how did you go from being a grade school teacher to being a style influencer?
You know what? It all happened at the same time. There was no plan. There was no intention for me to do this. Once I graduated from university, at that point, I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I had finished my bachelor's. And I decided to go into teaching because the one thing I knew was that I loved children. And I didn't know even then if teaching would be the thing for me. But when I I started my degree and I started schooling, I really learned that it was my calling. And through that, I guess naturally when you're working and you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. So that opened up so much more time and space for me to explore the fashion world. And at that time as well, social media was just starting and Instagram was the hottest thing. And with the encouragement of my friends, began to use the platform to just simply share my fashion tips. And that was just what I was doing after school, on my off time. And that grew. It began to gain the attention of different personalities, different people who wanted me to dress them or give them fashion tips. And then I just kind of grew with it. And that turned into me having a platform, which then turned into me wanting to use that platform the best way that I can, which is through activism and to be a voice for the voiceless.
I love that. And I can't wait to kind of dive into that and just how everything that you are, an educator, a stylist, and an activist, all of these three have come together in this campaign with Reitmans, which I can't wait to kind of dig my teeth into. But before we do that, I want to kind of name drop a little bit, because I just feel that you are one of those people that we can name drop with. Can you tell us some of the people that you've worked with, be they celebrities or corporate brands? Because I want people to truly understand kind of the level of success that you've accomplished and that you've kind of done it on your own.
The Sandy line does not exist without naming Lily Singh and Humble the Poet, two people that are creatives in the Toronto area, who really helped mentor me through everything that I was doing. I've dressed both of them, and that grew into me also dressing people like Nabela Noor, Utkarsh Ambedkar for the Oscars in 2019. Sonia Just, I've dressed her. Bina Minhaj, I've also had the opportunity to dress Hassan Minhaj. I've had the opportunity to dress Salone Monet, who is an amazing, amazing designer out of New York. So that's the list so far, and we plan to build on it.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the third avatar of what makes up who you are, the activist component. Why is using your platform and influence important to you, Sandy?
I think that especially during this time within the pandemic, I've been able to really examine my platform and my usage of it. And as you know, there's been so much going on during this time, and that was the big shift, because being somebody who has three different careers, like I am who I am on Instagram, but I'm not putting as much time into it as, other creatives are, because I do have two other jobs. But I was really able to hone in on what it is that I wanted to share with the world and how I wanted to use the platform. And giving back has always been part of who I am as a Sikh. And I wanted to really use that and use my platform in the best way possible, and use it as a space to tell stories of people who are hurting all around the world.
Absolutely.
And it's just so important. If we don't, who will, right?
Absolutely. And it's really interesting. You just, mentioned your cultural heritage. For those people out there who don't know what being Sikh is, can you just kind of explain that a little bit? And the reason why I'm asking you that is it really plays heavily into kind of the activist component of who you are, but also into diversity inclusion, which is also very important to you. So can you kind of encapsulate for anyone that doesn't really know, just kind of the mantra and theme behind Sikhism, why that really plays into a part of your identity?
Absolutely. The word Sikh it literally means to learn. And as Sikhs, we are encouraged to continue to learn and teach in our lives, and to always serve selflessly. And that's kind of one of the biggest pillars of our religion, is to serve and do seva. And growing up as a Sikh, those are the things that I kind of picked up. There's so many different parts of our religion, but the biggest things that stuck with me were to be a lifelong learner and to serve and give back every step of the way. And that's kind of how I can be the best Sikh that I can be. And that's to me how I express my Sikhi.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why diversity inclusion matter to you, right? I mean,
Yes.
can you maybe, as we get ready to kind of dive into this campaign, which I'm dying to go into, can we maybe preface that a little bit by, speaking about why diversity and inclusion matter to you?
Absolutely. So diversity and inclusion are important, not only because I myself am a minority or a person of color, but also because as a Sikh, it is my job to continue to fight for other minorities and for other folks whose voices are not being heard, and to speak up for injustices. That is part of what it means to be a Sikh. So being a Sikh, that's why it's so important for me to make noise in the diversity space and to speak up and to always preach for inclusion and diversity and equity.
A big part of that also is cultural representation, right, Sandy? I mean, you've kind of spoken about that a little bit in terms of, how you identify yourself, but especially, with this last year that we've had, to have, companies, corporations, celebrities to kind of step up and, speak about why the narrative of equity, diversity, inclusion is important, couldn't have been more vocal than it was this past year. So although we kind of really faced, all of the negatives that came with the pandemic, I think the one good thing, if we're allowed to say this, that came out of it was the fact that, we became very, very sensitive to the narrative of what makes up the human race. And I feel that really did come about. And I feel that this campaign that, you're involved with Reitmans kind of speaks to that as well. So I want to kind of go into that. But before we do, folks, just take a little listen and watch to this.
ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਹਰੇਕ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਤੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਦੇਣਾ ਤੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਕੰਮ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਹਨਤ ਤੇ ਲਗਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਗਿੱਲ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਐਲੀਮੈਂਟਰੀ ਸਕੂਲ ਟੀਚਰ ਹਾਂ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਸਟਾਈਲਿਸਟ। ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਉਣਾ ਅੱਛੇ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਬਣਨਾ, ਜੋ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰੰਗ ਰੂਪ ਅਤੇ ਪਹਿਰਾਵਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਨਾ। ਮੈਂ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੀ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ ਧੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਣ ਕੋਈ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਪਲੇਟਫਾਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਲੱਗੂਗਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਫੂਡ ਬੈਂਕ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਇਹ ਟੀ-ਸ਼ਰਟ ਨੂੰ ਖਰੀਦ ਕੇ।
All right. That was quite the video, Sandy. I want to kind of dive in a little bit here. Let's talk about the Reitmans Diversity is the Fabric of Canada collaboration now. Can you explain what the campaign is all about?
For sure. So this campaign is all about diversity and inclusion. And Reitmans has 245 stores all around Canada. And as we know, Canada is a very diverse country, and there's women of all walks of life, different cultures who shop at Reitmans. And the goal of the brand was really to reflect all of those different women. And the only way they could do that is by having ambassadors who are from all different types of cultures and backgrounds and can bring forth their heritage and share who they are and who their people are, so that when women come into the store to shop, they can see themselves. So this whole campaign, basically what it's all about is they've chosen 7 female ambassadors from the country to represent their cultures. And I was chosen. I'm very grateful for this. I was chosen to represent India. What we did was create and design a t-shirt with Reitmans and a scarf, which will represent our respective heritage and culture. And then through that, we can also donate to a charitable cause of our choice. So yeah, that's basically what the campaign was. And, you know, Reitmans does a lot of work to ensure that they represent as many cultures that they can and really represent the women that shop at Reitmans.
Absolutely. And I'm one of them, by the way. I've been shopping there for years.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to ask you this. Diversity is the fabric of Canada. I love the play on words, fabric. What does that title mean to you? What does it mean to you?
The title to me means, you know, it's really what makes Canada Canada for me is the different cultures and the different people that you see walking down, you know, Spadina Avenue in Toronto, all the different types of people that you're going to see just in that one walk. And that's what it is to me. That's what makes Canada Canada. All the different people that live here, all the different stories that live here, you know, the immigrant stories, the stories of our First Nations, all of that is what makes up Canada, and that is what is our diversity, and that's the literal fabric, or the what we would call in Punjabi the rooh. So
Yes.
when this tagline is translated into Punjabi, it's Vilakhanta Canada di rooh hai. So diversity is the soul of Canada, and that's really what it is.
I don't think there's a country out there that is more indicative of the statement that you just said there, and proudly so. I mean, you know, everyone here, whether they were born in this country or whether they came like I did from another country, just gets sucked into, in a positive way, this whole kind of idea of belonging. And I think that that is quite unique here in Canada, even in terms of campaigns like this, right? That, you know, corporations, I mean, a company like Reitmans is very, very clear about who their woman is. So let's talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind, Sandy. Reitmans have a very diverse pool of women that shop with them. Is there any insights that you can give to everyone in terms of why these 7 women were picked? Was it because they were specifically representative of diverse cultures in Canada? Because I noticed that BIPOC women were chosen for this campaign. Can you give us any insight on that? It's brilliant, by the way, which is why I'm so excited about speaking to you about this campaign.
Yes, the women that were chosen are all women that are, you know, holding space for their communities and really doing amazing work in whatever respective field that they are working or creating in. And they're just women who are on their grind, you know, and really embracing their culture through their work. And so that's alongside being from different cultures and nationalities, or sorry, different cultures and heritages, they're also doing work in this space to further or amplify the voices of their people.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you specifically, why did you decide that this was something that you wanted to put your influence towards and get behind, for anyone that who, from listening to everything that you've said so far, still don't get it? Why was this important to you to be a part of this campaign?
So many different reasons. I think the first thing that came to mind was just the fact that my own sisters, all of my aunts, all of my, like my mother, they've all shopped at Reitmans. So I knew that this was the right space for them to be represented in. So that was definitely the first thing. As a woman of color in the creative space, anytime a brand is approaching me to represent my culture and my people, that's a win. And that's something that I will always be open to, because it's important to share our story. And when brands are doing the right thing by, you know, asking questions, by allowing you to take the reins, I think it's the right step, and it's something that should be celebrated. And that's one of the big reasons I wanted to do this, because oftentimes we get so lost by complaining about things like, oh, there's no representation, or there's no brown girls in media, or there, you know. When opportunities like this come up, it's important to take them, to celebrate them, and it's important to allow them to open up the doors for more women and for more even younger women who are, my niece, like younger women who are looking into these spaces and seeking representation. I want it to be a normal thing for them. So those are some of the reasons why it was important for me. Like it's a great opportunity, of course, but also the component of being able to give back was huge. So right off the bat, there was just so many different points that were just yes. And so for me, I was thrilled to be a part of it.
You couldn't have said it better. I mean, the word yes on all fronts is really the key here. So let me ask you this, Sandy. What is your specific contribution to this campaign? Let's break that down a little bit for people. For
sure. So specifically, I got to design the image that is on the shirt.
Can I get you to stand up, because we got to show this to everyone. It's just tremendous. Look at that, guys. Oh my gosh, beautiful. Tell us a little bit about it. Like, what does this represent?
Yes, so the design represents my women, my Punjabi women. As a Punjabi woman through and through, when I was asked to come up with a design or to think about what I wanted to incorporate in it, I literally just closed my eyes for 10 minutes and thought about, what do I think about when I think of Punjab? And I think about the kit, I think about the fields. That is the first thing, standing on the roof of my house in Punjab and just seeing fields and fields. That's the first thing. The second thing is thinking of the authentic fulkari, the print that all of us have in our homes, passed down through generations. The fulkari, which is the background print that we use. It also appears in different places, but we specifically wanted to use that print because it is a immediate reminder of who I am and where I come from. And then the women, of course, when I think about Punjab and I think about women in Punjab, I think about the Tiya, the Mele, the different festivals that happen when women get all dressed up just to go and just let loose and to just chat with their sisters and to my first language is Punjabi, so I wish I could say all this in Punjabi, but when they sit and they just chat and they de-stress and they talk with each other and gossip and whatever it is, but those are such therapeutic times for our women, and that's what I wanted to represent. I wanted to represent beautiful women who love to dress up in their colorful outfits and get together, and the fields and the fulkari, all of that together is just Punjab. And I really wanted to make sure that the design screamed that. So yeah.
And it totally does. It's so authentic. It's like I can smell the kid. It's like, it's just amazing. It's amazing. So before we go into, what people need to do to go and support this cause and also get some incredible fashions in the process, I want to ask you this, Sandy. You chose Seva Food Bank as your charity of choice to donate partial proceeds for the sales of your designs. Tell me a little bit about what Seva Food Bank is for those people who don't know, and why that was, where you wanted your support to go.
For sure. So immediately when I was approached with the opportunity to be able to give back and choose pick a charity of my choice, without a doubt, Seva came to mind, because just even in the name, like Seva being a Sikh, it just made complete sense. And I often like to go with my gut, and my gut just said, this is your chance to plug Seva, and let's do it. So Seva Food Bank has been doing incredible work in our community for the past, I think, 15 years. And they have really been working to help folks in the GTA meet their daily needs. And
Right.
it's Sikhs Serving the Community Foundation, and it really is just built on the basis of Sikhi, which I love, which aligns with who I am. So it was just a perfect match, and I think the work that they do is so important, especially through the pandemic. So many families have had trouble just meeting their basic nutritional needs, and food security has been such an issue, and Seva Food Bank helps that, and they're I've had the opportunity to volunteer with them myself, and it's just a great organization. And I thought that it would be the perfect place for the proceeds to go.
Absolutely. It's interesting you said that, because my son, when he was finishing up high school, one of the things here in Canada, as you know, is to, volunteer. And he chose Seva Food Bank to do his volunteering at. So, I can totally attest to how incredible and worthy this organization is, and how much work they do to really, really, fill that gap that desperately needs to be fed, especially with this last year that we've had. And, I want to ask you this. What do you hope that this collaboration will accomplish for your dual cultural heritage as being South Asian and Canadian, Sandy?
So many things, but I really hope that it opens up 1,000 doors for all of the young Punjabi Canadian girls who want to do something non-traditional, want to be an actress, want to be a stylist, want to be a designer. I hope it just opens up the door or gives them the inspiration that they need to just take the jump and to just work.
So Sandy, anyone out there who wants to support this, be it because those fashions are flipping kick-ass, or be it because they seriously want to support a corporation that's Canada-based, and it's truly, really stepping up and understanding kind of the society's needs, and, how important it is for us to look at inclusivity and look at diversity and, support and celebrate that. Like, where can people go to support this?
So there's 2 ways that you can support this. Number one, share it with your friends. Share it with your community, share it with your non-South Asian community, share it with everybody. This is not about me. This is about all of us. This is about representation. This is about diversity. This is a win for all of us. And it's important that we celebrate it so that we continue to open the doors for more South Asian creatives, and also just make this a normal thing, like make it normal for this to be on your billboards, on your TV. This should just be completely normal. And of course, secondly, purchase the t-shirt or the scarf, and you can just simply go to reitmans.com. You'll see the campaign, Diversity is the Fabric of Canada. You'll see all the other beautiful ambassadors and their beautiful designs. And you'll be able to purchase and also help Seva Food Bank.
I think we need to buy all 7 of them, Sandy. I think that's what needs to happen here to truly represent being Canadian, right?
Yes, and I don't want to, shameless plug of the scarf, but the scarf goes great with Indian attire as well. The scarves are my personal favorite. I am a scarf girl, so they're so versatile, and yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I've seen you wear scarves on your head as mini dresses, as sarongs, as dupattas, as everything. So, definitely a great purchase. Yes. For all of those watching and listening to this who don't quite understand how important changing the narrative is, because this is something that you've been, mentioning time and time again as we've been chatting on diversity and inclusion. What words would you like to leave them with, Sandy?
For myself, I always look at everything through the lens of my students. And that's why it's important. This is for the children. This is for the future. Seeing me in a national campaign is important for our children to see, so that this can be normal for them, and so that they can continue to break barriers and continue to step into fields and step into different rooms that they never even thought that they could get into. So that's why it's important. Think about it from the kids' perspective. It's for the children, for the future. That's my slogan.
I love it. I love it. Spoken like a true grade school teacher and fashionista who believes in doing the right thing. Thank you so, so much, Sandy, my darling. You are just awesome. I love everything that you represent. I love all your avatars. And I love that all of them are speaking loud and proud in Reitman's Diversity is the Fabric of Canada campaign. Thank you so much for chatting with me and just giving people a little bit of insight as to, such an incredible campaign. I mean, I'm so proud of Reitmans to really step into this and realize how important it is to, speak up and represent the diversity of women here in Canada, and to also showcase that all women are a Reitmans, client. So thank you so much for bringing that to the table. And, I really hope that we get the opportunity for people to go online and really support this, guys. It's important. It's important for your daughters to understand why supporting diversity and their voices matter. And this has really been the big theme here that we've been talking about with Sandy. Sandy, come back and chat with me again. Thank you so much for, shedding light on this and truly being representative of what it means to be a true Canadian. Thank you so much for being a part of this show.
Thank you so much, Raj. And thank you for starting this for us and really paving the way so that people like me don't have to do as much work.
You work really hard, sweetheart. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. And just keep being authentic to who you are, because everything that you do on your platform represents how important it is to be an individual, but to also be proud of all the multiple dimensions that make up your identity. And that's the thing, people. You don't have to lose something to gain something. You can have it all if you take the time to figure out how those pieces of the jigsaw puzzle of your identity come together. So I'm going to leave you guys on that, and I look forward to seeing everyone next time. Take care, guys.